Facebook discovered that users who had 7 friends in 10 days retain dramatically better. Slack found that 2,000 messages means a 93% chance of staying forever in the platform. None of these insights show up in a standard tracking dashboard. In this video, you will learn how to do exactly what these companies did, but in minutes instead of weeks, in plain language instead of complex regression tools built for data scientists. I will walk you through a 4-step process to find hidden patterns in your data that predict retention, the traps that ruin the analysis, and a live demo where AI analyzes every variable in a real database and surfaces 3 findings we weren't even looking for. I'm Nacho Bacino, and every week I share how to use AI in product management practices. Obvious metrics don't explain behavior. Most PMs look at the same metrics: daily active users, retention, conversion rate. We open the dashboard, check if the numbers went up or down, and move on. But these numbers tell us the what, not the why. They don't tell us why some users stays and other leaves the product. Your data has a lot more to say, but you don't have time to explore every possible variable combination, or the tools to run those complex regression analyses are very difficult. AI can simplify all of that for you. The examples I mentioned earlier, Facebook, Slack, aren't the only ones. Twitter found that following 30 accounts with a third following you back turned you into an active user forever. Dropbox found that uploading at least one file also increased retention dramatically. They all have something in common: early behaviors that predict long-term outcomes. And none of them were obvious from a dashboard that the product manager was looking at. They found them by doing what we are about to learn: systematic correlation hunting in the data. So the framework has 4 steps. We hunt for data, we filter, we do hypotheses, and we experiment. Let's go through each of them. The first one is hunting. We feed our data to the AI with a prompt designed to find non-obvious correlations. And here's the key: we don't tell it which metrics to look at. We say, analyze every variable and find patterns I'm not seeing. We delegate the exploration, and AI can cross-reference hundreds of variables in minutes, something that will take humans weeks probably to do. The second step, of course, is filtering, because from the correlation it finds, we filter by actionability. Because a correlation only matters if you can do something about it. For example, users from countries with better internet retain more is interesting but useless. We will not move users to a different country. But users who activate mobile retain 2.3x more is actionable. We can push up downloads. We can do things during the onboarding to get those users to use the mobile app. So with that, we jump to step 3. We do hypotheses. For each actionable correlation, we formulate a clear, measurable hypothesis, not improve onboarding. Instead, if we add an app download prompt on day 1, the users who accept it will have a higher 30-day retention, specific, measurable, with a defined primary metric. And of course, we want to experiment that. We design a test to validate whether the correlation is causal or not, because correlation is not causation. Ben Yoskovich, the author of Linear Analytics, said it perfectly: correlation helps you predict the future, causation lets you change it. First, we find the correlation, and then we validate it with an A/B test or gradual rollout. The golden rule is a correlation is hypothesis, not a conclusion. But with that, let's see the demo and let's see this in action so you can use it tomorrow.
All right, we will do a demo of the correlation hunter. And the beauty of this demo is that we explain how powerful correlation hunting can be, how difficult it is, but actually to implement it is super easy. I will show you how easy it is to actually write a prompt to go do exactly that. Just for context, we will reutilize the data analyst project that we created before. As a summary, this has 2 things. First, it has a data dictionary, so it's connected to our database, and the data dictionary is telling it which are our columns, what's the meaning of each column, which are the tables that we need to. And then we also have the instructions, super generic, saying, hey, you're a product analyst, you have access to the database. And I will actually run a prompt for correlation hunting. And as you can see here, your role is being a data scientist specialized in finding strong actionable correlations between user behavior and business outcomes. The action is to use database connection to analyze the user table and find early behaviors that predict retention. What we're saying is that you will use this information, and the approach should be: first, separate retained users from those who left. So the churn users versus retained users. and compare distributions of each variable between both groups. As you can see, I'm not telling it what variables they should use. It will go analyze all variables and find out what's out there. And that's the magic. I don't need to describe all of it. That's why I'm saying that the prompt is so simple, because say, hey, go analyze everything and give me results, give me insights. So then continue for variables with significant differences, find specific thresholds. For example, this is kind of going back to Facebook saying that you should invite 7 friends in the first 10 days. It should be 7 days or 8 friends or 6 friends or 5 friends. That's where you need to compare these different thresholds in order to understand which is. And then you should calculate the retention lift for each of these thresholds that you identify. And then the results, findings in this format: thresholds, evidence, actionability, and the experiment we should run. So without further ado, let's run this. And then what you will see is that we'll start running queries, right? So we'll run a query kind of to identify the churn users versus non-churn users. But you will see that it will keep running queries, because what it's doing is to extracting every different variable and trying to compare against each other. So it will run multiple queries. This is something that, as I was saying before, if I need to describe all the variables, probably will take some time. And actually, if I need to do this myself, actually, this is what data analysts do. They will capture all the model, start running regression models, looking at different variables. This can take days or weeks to do the analysis, and the AI will simply prompting, hey, go analyze everything, can go one after the other, and do the complete analysis. So now it's done, but as I usually say, hey, it will give you answers in seconds, and that's the magic. Here is the opposite, is, hey, I wanted to spend some time going through all of the variables. And you can see here all the queries, all the variables analyzed. Of course, it's a very simple product with just one table and different variables for the onboarding steps of the user. But if I were to, for example, being on Slack, as we use an example, the user will be able to do hundreds of actions. So analyzing all these different things that the user can do will take considerable amount of time. And we can just let the AI run with that, run the multiple analysis, and come back with the results. And here are the results. The first finding is mobile app users. So mobile users retain 2 to 3x more than web-only users. So you see, 79% versus 32%. So this is actionable. Why? Because we can tell the users or incentivize the users to download the applications during the onboarding or send push email on day 2 if they haven't installed the app yet. Second finding, first log within 24 hours. So here you can see the retention is quite amazing, is 88%. So it's a 40% lift versus the control group, or versus the group which actually does the log in the first week. And the actionability is redesign the onboarding to make the first log the primary goal, not completing the profile, actually creating a log. So implement a guided first log with pre-filled template. Finding 3, 4+ logs in week 1. This is also super interesting. 4 logs is 89% retention rate. So again, super positive. 1-3 logs also is positive, but is much lower than this threshold of 4 logs. So this is why it's important to analyze all of the different options. And again, this is where the AI can be super powerful and we don't need to do it. Actionability is create a strict, create some system, can be gamification with visual rewards. So we can do an email drip campaign, different things that we can try in order to make users reach this threshold of 4 logs in 1 week. So you can see that these are super powerful insights that will put me in a position to create more opportunities in the backlog that will really move the needle. I didn't need to do all this crazy analysis that will either require data analysis or require me to spend a considerable amount of effort and gain some data analysis skill. I just put a very short 30-second prompt into the AI and it will run and do all this magic analysis for me.
All right, look at what just happened. With a single prompt, we found that the first login within 24 hours is the best predictors of retention, that mobile is a massive driver of retention as well, and that 4 logs in the first week is the point of no return. 3 actionable findings without writing a single line of SQL or doing any complex computations. The most powerful thing here isn't the individual findings, is that you can now do this systematically. Every time you have a user behavior data, you can run a correlation hunter with AI and find patterns no one was looking for. Your product's hidden drivers are already in your data, so you just need to look for them. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe for more practical content on product and AI. And for this particular use case, I wrote an article with the full correlation hunter prompt, the traps in detail, and the documentation template. Link in the description. And of course, if you want to go deeper in the product direction community, we practice this with real data. We share prompts at work. Every week we try a new different scenario in our live sessions where we walk through the different participants' scenarios and we try to give feedback to each other and improve our craft. Also link in the description, and I will see you on the next one.